one. Hello.
Hi, we're live.
Happy whatever day it is.
We moved this to
Thursday?
Thursdays. It still feels like Friday. It is Thursday, right? Yeah,
It
yeah,
is
yeah. So it
Thursday.
is Thursday.
Well,
Yeah, yeah.
it's
Feels
Friday
like
somewhere, but it's not Friday
yeah,
here.
yeah. Right, right. No,
Yeah.
I'm
So
out of it.
you're fresh off the boat from Open Sauce.
Yes, so open sauce was this past weekend. It was fun. So I just got back this morning through a red eye, so I'm kind of trying
Look
to
at
stay
that.
awake.
What a champ. He's on the podcast. It's like we recorded what is it? It's 4 o'clock Pacific. So it's like what, 6 for you? No,
Seven.
7
It's 7 p.m. right
ish.
now on my
Yeah.
side, which is yeah, yeah. Just, I took a nap, so that works.
Yeah. So I guess like how was open source? Like what is open source maybe for folks who might not know? We talked a little
Yes.
bit about it
So
last
open,
week, but not too much.
yeah, yeah. Open source I don't know if I should call it a conference or a convention because it's sort of like a weird blend of both.
Yeah.
But it was created by a content creator, William Osman, and it's been around for a few years. This is the first year that I've actually even heard about it, and it's the first year that I've exhibited at.
Nice.
So I didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
Looking at the site, there are content creators, YouTubers that are sort of in the edutainment space, I would say, that are, I guess, highlighted because they are anticipated to show up at this convention conference
Yeah.
thingamajig. But then there are also exhibitors like myself and a bunch of other people who do something really cool, decide to open source it, and then bring it to the convention to kind of show it off and talk to anyone who wants to buy a ticket to go.
Nice.
So it was a very, very big event. I think every year it is growing bigger and bigger. Many people who have been to years in the past have said that this is the largest yet. So
Nice.
this was in the San Mateo Event Center, I believe, and I can attest that there were a lot of people there. It was very, very big.
Nice.
So as an exhibitor, I get a little booth where I set something up, and it's like an 8x8 booth. It's a very, very small thing. If you've ever been to any
A
sort of like
closet.
conventions or yeah, effectively a little bit larger than a
Yeah.
closet, but you have a table and you just kind of leave stuff out. Some exhibits had large things to show off, which is really cool. So some makers like to build things that kind of don't make sense, but they're cool to see.
Yeah.
So robots that are like 10 feet tall.
Oh.
Um, BattleBots was there, so
Oh,
they
that's
have this
cool.
little yeah. It was a one thing I'll give them really props on is it was a large venue, different buildings, and they were able to sort of group
Oh.
exhibits accordingly to the theme. So there was one
That's
hall
cool.
that was all indie game developers, so a bunch of people going in to playtest open source indie games. There
That's
was
cool.
another hall that was aerospace and engineering for some reason. I guess it's hard, so it's really cool to see like open source
Yeah.
aerospace.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
there was NASA was there showing off a few things and a bunch of other open source projects like rockets that are using alternative fuels, stuff like
Sure.
that, and
Hybrid
drone stuff as
rockets,
well in the air. Yeah, yeah, right.
battery operated,
Yeah,
battery.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, lab made rockets. And then there was one hall that was dedicated to sort of like arts and crafts, I would say, but mainly things that you're doing technically. But for this is something I think that we would really enjoy, but you do it for the artistic purpose.
Sure.
So, like there's some in chemistry, for example, there's some gases that kind of show very cool colors if you change the temperature around them. So you have
Right.
like a vacuum tube and the gas inside, and you sort of modify the atmosphere around it, and it kind of glows
That's
colors
cool.
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then people who make elaborate cosplay, so armor or replicating some sort of character from a movie or something, and the gear is very, very realistic, and it looks kind of like they were in the world as opposed to just like a fake kind of cosplay thing. So, and then there's like science stuff, random science stuff. So that's kind of the layout. People buy tickets, they go in, they
Yeah.
walk through, and just kind of watch people show off their stuff. You can talk to the exhibitors. Most of my time was talking to people and teaching them about neuroscience and the thing that I was trying to build and what it was for. And you come across an interesting crowd because this is the I guess I'll call it the Bay Area, San Mateo Bay Area. So
Yeah.
some people coming in and saying, "Oh, I study neuroscience, so I know what this is," and then some people coming in saying, "I have no idea what this is. Can you teach me about it?"
Right.
Stuff like that.
Well, that's
So
cool.
that's the gist of open source, and that was kind of it was fun. It was a good collection of people. Um, we've talked a little bit about like what an event in person could look like, and this was one of the opportunities where I kind of got to see how things were run, and then how it was
Yeah.
organized, and what happens when you have sort of a lot of people all interested in different things at once. So we were talking a little bit before that, before this, about that kind of stuff. Yeah, I'll
TLDR,
pause
just
there.
don't
Yeah.
don't do it live. Don't do an
Effectively. I
event.
mean,
Yeah, don't.
it's interesting. I think if you talk to a few exhibitors here, um, or at least there's like a Discord where all the exhibitors are kind of chatting around, and many of them say like they say don't, but then oh yeah, I'm coming back next year. So there's something
Oh
interesting
no,
about it.
definitely do it, but like to host, don't. It's
Oh,
just so
to
much
create,
work. Yeah.
to create it. Yeah. I mean, I think the biggest takeaway for me was as an exhibitor, seeing other exhibitors who
Yeah.
maybe don't have the same background as I do. So, like, we talk a little bit about business stuff, right? So we have that sort of mentality. Seeing some of the other exhibitors who are doing very, very cool and interesting things, they just
Mm-hmm.
don't have the same idea of like building a business out of it, or taking the idea and then turning it into something else.
Right.
So it's very much the crowd of like, I did this cool thing, check it out. Isn't that great? Isn't it cool? But they don't see
Yeah.
how it can be applied. So that I think it was a sort of a missed opportunity where it was a place to show off, but no one was really trying to think about the practical use cases.
Yeah, you
Like
gotta
a
like
buddy,
curate that kind of
yeah,
stuff too, because it's I think everyone thinks that it'll just kind of happen. And it you get the
hmm,
serendipitous by just getting people in proximity, but you do have to have some kind of a forcing function.
yeah,
And I think partly it's because like kids these days don't know how to do it, but also it's the group of people that you're kind of working with are also tend to be very introverted folks for the most part, or shy,
hmm,
or
yeah,
whatever
yeah,
labels we're
100%.
putting on
Right,
folks.
right,
And
right.
like that's okay. And not everyone has great public speaking skills or is extroverted. And like, some of the greatest inventions in our human history are from people who like pry didn't talk that much to like most people, and that's fine, right? It's like I know all sorts. I mean, I work with engineers. I was like, I know all sorts of people who fit that. But this
Yeah,
idea that it seems like the modern idea is like you have to do it all and like be really good at everything. And that, yeah, I mean, you don't need to be able to like sell yourself, but at the same time, it's like it's unrealistic to expect every great idea or invention to like kind of self-represent. That's like the whole point of a
for sure.
company, right? Is you get people who are great at marketing, you get people who are great at sales, you get people who are great at engineering, and like ideally it's in some kind of a balance.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, some of the things that I saw, people who were sort of open sourcing like processes that were like deep technologies,
Yeah.
and I really got reminded of some of the like tech transfer stuff that happens with universities, where a university
Right.
has like a patent or a process that's very, very deep, and the inventor is like they love talking about it, but they don't understand like how to take it and turn it into a business, right? So
Right.
these universities will have tech transfer offices where they work with entrepreneurs, and they kind of give them the pen and figure out how to get that into the
Right.
world. I think this is also one of those opportunities, but we've talked a little bit about it. The academic space, the academic world is a little different. It's got its
Yeah.
own ecosystem going on. It's got its own share of problems. But this, again, in the vein of open source, was an interesting opportunity to see some of that happening, where
Yeah.
some guy is talking about this process of separating sediment from materials, and he doesn't realize that it could be used in mining to pull to do these crazy things. It's like, oh well, that's really, really cool. It's just he didn't have that
Yeah.
experience, or he didn't
Well,
understand that perspective.
the cross-pollination of ideas is like the whole point of the podcast, but also like it's
Mhm.
been this need that I've seen. I mean, that was one of the ideas I had in college was like there is really no true cross-functional study or application of domain knowledge. And everybody in the domain seems to think that it's fine and it's good to go. And the reality is, like, the people who are really doing the interesting creative stuff typically don't talk outside of their domain. Some of them do, and you get
Yeah.
really cool things, but for the most part, they don't. That's like the exception by far. And we've lost all this like really good, innovative uh, pollination, but we've also really lost the uh, pushing of ideas from
Mhm.
learning about how other people are approaching problems. We've talked a lot about this on the podcast where we've made some really radical breakthroughs because two people in two different domains were just like having coffee and we're like, oh yeah, I have this
Mm.
problem with this, folding the solar sail in the satellite. Oh, well, I just do
Yeah.
origami randomly and like, have you tried doing an origami fold?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Oh, so we can take something that's like, compress the volume by like, 300% somehow because of the
Mm.
way we fold it. Cool.
Right,
Does it
right.
work in
Yeah,
space? We'll
yeah.
find out. Right? Like
Yeah, yeah,
TLDR, it works in
exactly.
space.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, no, I love that they're getting folks together. I do wish though that these conferences would do more to support those pillars of
Yeah.
cross-pollination, of cross-domain thinking. Um, and it's hard to do that though when it's like the public
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you don't really
I
know what
mean,
you're getting. It's like a
right,
B2C
right.
versus B2B. It's just a different mix. It's not bad or
Yeah,
good.
so
It's just
so
different.
yeah, the acronym B2B, B2C, I think is a good way to sort of describe it because the one thing I will give open source credit for is this interesting mix of like there's a general public that attend and there are exhibitors that show and then there are YouTube creators, right? So we are in this age
Mhm.
where YouTube creators are like the new age celebrities, right?
Yeah.
So bringing the people to or bringing those creators to an event and having people come see them and those guys are sharing this sort of the cool stuff that other people are doing. I
Yeah.
think tapping into that passion and that sort of like the coolness is one way to start invigorating the connection because I've had so many people come to my booth and start asking me questions, even though they had no idea what I was doing. But
Yeah.
they were so curious to learn, and I was like, "Okay, fantastic! I'm going to do my best to explain this, but I don't know how I can explain neuroscience in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
but let me take a
Well,
shot."
but and
So
that's like the
the
sales
dancing
part,
around it,
right? It's like
yeah.
you almost need like almost here's an interesting idea. It's almost like you need to do like a mini Y Combinator,
Ah, interesting. Okay, yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it's like your exhibitors, you give them you build a kind of a frame. And so for folks who don't know, Y Combinator is an investment vehicle that will take companies, give them a little bit of knowledge around running a startup, and then expose them to a bunch of stuff. And so I don't. This is not an endorsement. Frankly, I
Mhm.
probably wouldn't recommend it for most companies or people. But
Yeah, Y
the
Combinator's a unicorn, right? Yeah, yeah.
yeah, the model is interesting. But what I mean by that is that like you like how do I distill this down? Well, having 10 minutes or 20 minutes with somebody who's really good at marketing or sales to like listen to your stuff and help you compress that down into like here's the three things that a normal person who doesn't know anything about this could be interested in or how you would communicate it. And then it's how do you self edit, right? That's a hard problem
Yeah, yeah.
too. Of there's all the detail you really do need to know for what you're doing, but it's like what's that like couple sentence or couple paragraph like
The
the
elevator
hook
pitch kinda
kind of
thing.
thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then but I mean the elevator pitch thing kind of works for like introduction, but to get anything valuable, you have to be able to crack past that. And so it's like you need to go from like that elevator pitch to then what level of disclosure is like appropriate for the right person. That's a sales thing, right? It's like, some people
Mm.
are tech people and want to know the stats. Some people are feel people and want it to like feel really well to them, or they have what is their like motivator for purchasing,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right,
and
right,
and
right.
in a
Their
way you're
why what's their
selling the
why kind of thing.
idea, and it would be, I
Mhm.
think, helpful for these events to do that kind of stuff, or even just have like And the thing is, nobody wants to pay for this kind of stuff, blah, 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 all the
Mm,
problems. But the reality is the need is there. Um,
mhm.
and even just building like a framework or a template or a toolkit and then taking the time to enforce it, to not just say, here's a PowerPoint deck, go read stuff. Like, okay, we're going to run through with you. You have 5 minutes to sell us on the thing, or 1 minute to sell us. Here's some feedback. Good
Right.
luck. That would make the
Yeah, yeah.
thing a billion times better. And I
I
do
mean, so
this
the
with
I was
engineers on
gonna
my
say
teams,
we
right? Is like,
yeah,
I'll
I
be
think
like,
we
"Hey,
did this.
did
Did we
we?
not do this?
I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe."
well, we had a virtual one of we basically just recreated the thing. I swear
Oh,
we've done this
yeah, yeah, yeah,
before.
yeah. Well, yeah, kind of like that, but for me, that, like, the thing that we demoed was more around, like, once you're past that kind of, like, introductory stage of the thing, like, how do you refine?
Yeah, okay, sure. Different,
But
yeah,
but
different
for
depth.
something
Yeah.
like this, it's the people don't get past the introduction because 'cause they'll just sit at the booth.
Right.
And then someone will come up and be like, "What are you doing?" And you're like, "I'm working on transcranial direct stimulation." They're like, "I don't know what any of those fucking words mean. Good luck." And then they'll peace out or whatever, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that was one of the other things about the audience here is some people like they don't care for the business in that sense, right? There's sort of like with this weird counterculture kind of thing where like they build something cool, but they're really just not interested in turning into a business thing, whether it's because it's their art form or their hobby and they don't want to turn it
yeah,
into
yeah,
something
I
that
know,
makes
but I
money or
use
anything like
sales
that.
as a template because, like, that's how you communicate to people about
Yeah,
something,
that's one of the most effective ways about the value of something that you're
right?
building, right?
'Cause
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you're just doing it as a hobby, you probably shouldn't be there. I mean, I don't know, I've never
Right,
been, but,
and to
like,
clarify, right, to clarify, sales doesn't necessarily mean you're trading something for financial value, right?
right,
Anything
no, but
you're selling on why you're
yeah,
doing
you
what
gotta
you're
get
doing is
people
cool.
interested in the idea, and you
Yeah,
have to understand how different people are thinking about it, because if you just wanna do your little thing and or your thing and be fine, great, but then why are you at a convention with a bunch of people if you don't want to expose people to that idea? But that also
yeah, yeah.
requires work from you, right? You have to sell people on, "I have 3,000 booths I could look at, why would I look at yours?"
You're right,
Is
right.
is
Yeah,
kinda that
exactly.
question, right? And so, like, you look
Mhm.
at it in different frames, but, like, I think that's the frame where it's, for me at least, it makes the most sense. And like people are probably thinking like high pressure sales technique. And I'm talking bullshit. Like if you've ever bought something, you've been sailed and marketed towards. You probably just don't even realize the packaging you
Effectively, yeah,
use
yeah, no,
really
100%.
matters, right? If you have a
Yeah,
tech
yeah,
heavy audience, you're leading with the tech specs of the flashlight or whatever. If you have a tactile driven audience, you have a cutaway in the plastic so they can feel the grip of the thing, or color, whatever there's, I forget all the different sales lines, but there's motivations of people are pretty small when you actually start to look at what
right, right.
most people, and you always get the outliers, but most people are motivated by a few different things. And you're
Yeah,
going to the
that's a good lens
event,
to put on
right?
it.
Like you're self-selecting
Yes,
into
correct,
the
right, yeah,
thing,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, exactly. So I think that was a good lens of putting on it is like there were lots of there were too many of different types of people there. Like some people were
Yeah,
solely there to connect with their folk. Some people there were to talk about something. Like I was there to talk about something and try and get people interested in
yeah,
something or to do something or play part of something.
yeah. And I mean, we have free advice for the founders, but like I've been to some of these types of things where you break it up into like information exhibitors or hands-on exhibitors
Uh-huh,
or
yeah,
feedback driven. So it's like I want to go. It's like the Costco idea, right? I want to go sample the snack before I try
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Or I'm just like really interested in like what, you break it down kind of by branch, like science or like engineering, like they kind of already did. But you have to go down even further to say, I have hands-on product, I have theoretical whatever, how, and that's for them to try to figure out how you, but I think like, and I understand. I've done very large events, thousands and thousands of
Mm.
people. Me and myself, no one else. No, we, of course, was part of the team, but like I've been a part of that kind of stuff, and it's always very challenging. But the thing that makes like a good event a great event is the little bit of attention to detail in those spaces. If you're just throwing tables up and expecting people to YOLO it, like
Right. Right, right. Yeah, yeah. I
That's,
mean yeah, 100%. Again, it goes back to some of the intentionality stuff that we were talking about, right? Be a little more
yeah.
strategic in why you put things together
Yeah,
the way that you put things
but the
together.
world is like this kind of stuff probably worked in like the 50s and 60s when the whole
Mm,
world wasn't polluted with information, but it's like, the people walking through the exhibit hall are probably getting pinged constantly on their phone with God knows what distractions. Like
right,
there's so much noise now that you really have to figure out a way to cut through it enough to get that. And then a lot of people have the attention once you kind of, but you have to break through that like shield of just like, I'm so
right.
overwhelmed with the world yelling stuff to me that I need to break through that somehow.
Yeah, that's a cool way to put it. I like the idea of like an event organizer being the curator of
Mhm.
action. You design the event such that there's some outcome that you're hoping to get
Well,
out of
that's
it,
why
and you sort of lead people there.
it's institution, it's Western philosophy, right? It's like, it's
Yeah,
not
fair.
Andrew's idea. Like, it's just, this is like, this works really well if you do it, but
Mm,
the bar is also pretty low. And I'm not trying to pick on them. I don't, but it just, in speaking in general, I've done a lot of these things from like consumer, been a part, and it's the ones that are the most successful have a way to facilitate individual um, exchange as well as small group. And then
yeah,
you have
yeah,
kind of that mass chaos of like an event hall, but then you have breakout groups where you get people who are interested in a niche thing the opportunity to either get exposed to something else or circulate and exchange because
yeah.
you want to grow the people in the niche, but you also want to graph the niches in a sense and like get other niches exposed to niches that you might not know exist,
Right.
in
Yeah, yeah,
my
yeah.
humble opinion.
No, I think I totally agree with you. I mean, anecdotally, at this event, the exhibitors were all the ones who were knowledgeable about their respective domain,
Yeah,
but we were also busy talking to the general public. We didn't get to connect with each other, which
yeah,
arguably probably could have added more value to whatever
yeah,
we were all interested in, right? So,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah. And you
for
make all
sure.
this shit optional, right? But like
Mm.
it's just more planning and it's the execution's the hard part of
Yeah,
everything in
it's as
2026, right?
always,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, honestly, it always has been, but yeah.
Did you have a favorite thing that you encountered that wasn't yours?
Oh, that's a very good question.
You're like, my thing
Um,
sucked. I would never do it.
No, I mean, so one of the things I thought was pretty interesting and pretty cool was they sort of did their own little mini BattleBots thing. So they had a robotics hall where they did have a stage, and it was like casual BattleBots where not all the robots there were meant to like actually try and destroy each other, but just
Mm,
showing off all of them kind of hanging out together.
yeah,
There was a BattleBot show where they did have robots trying to destroy each other's robots, but that was separate. But at the same time, it was like cool to see that in like
yeah.
a mini fashion because I mean I don't know how old some of the audience is, but MTV used to have this BattleBots TV show where it was
I
kind
think
of
you lost most of
elaborate.
the audience at TV.
Elaborate. It
It's
was an
like
elaborate
YouTube, but
stage.
not.
Yeah. I'm sure you could find the clips of these things on YouTube, but it used to be a show
Yeah,
where they
yeah,
would have yeah, and then I think you kind of think about it, and it's such an enormous waste of money. Like people put thousands and thousands of dollars into engineering and hardware for building these robots just to see
yeah.
it get destroyed in like 10 seconds.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
sometimes
so
it's
the
interesting.
battle bots one is where you try to like have two or more robots kind of fight each
Yeah,
other.
yeah,
The thing
yeah,
I
yeah,
like, I have a cousin who does this in like high school. I think it's a college thing too, but
yeah.
they
They
build
still have them in
challenges.
universities. Right.
Yeah,
Okay, that's
but they
cool.
do
Yeah, that's even
yeah, so
cooler.
it's like you
Right.
have to move like a thing up a grade and put it in a bucket, but you can't use
Yeah.
levers or
They're
something, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
They're universities that do this. Yeah, they make a challenge, or they have a like an obstacle course for robots, and you try and
yeah,
build a robot that can go through the entire obstacles
yeah,
course. And each course has something unique where one sort of architecture for a robot would excel, but not another. So it's like,
right.
how do you balance out what like whether you want to use a humanoid robot or a bot on wheels or something
Yeah,
depends
and I wanna see
on
more
whatever
of
you're
that
doing.
kind of stuff. Like,
That'd be cool.
we talk
Yeah.
about, like, cross-disciplinary, like, there's a cool competition where there's an underwater version of this where it's, like, not only do you have to,
Wow.
like, do robotics and stuff, but you also have to deal with, like, marine environment, which is a whole
Yeah.
'nother level of hell that you have to go
Right.
through. But no,
Wow.
that's cool. I didn't realize it was so expansive either. Like, I
Yeah,
I've heard of it in the
I was not
past,
expecting
and
it.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
that's
I wasn't expecting it. So I think there was also something about makers or exhibitors doing something with food, but I think that was also a big question. Was like, if you're making something, can you sell? Like, I think that was like outlawed. So
oh yeah.
people were making certain types of food and they couldn't sell it or something. I don't quote me
Uh,
on this,
uh,
but there was something.
it's California, right? So yeah, they have cottage food
Right. Yeah.
laws
Yeah.
that are
Yeah.
really,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
prohibitive from doing anything
But
like that.
that was just to comment on how expensive it was. There were people who were creating things that were edible
Yeah.
and not. So there was also for me, I thought it was interesting that there was an arena and they were doing taser fighting. So they
Oh.
would equip two people. They would equip two people in some protective gear, and each person had a taser. And whoever hit the other person with the taser first would win. It's one of those dumb things, but it's kind of fun.
Yeah. Okay. I'll take your word for it.
So yeah, that was kind of interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
And then we'll link to the open source stuff that you put out for the TDCS. I always get the numbers wrong.
Yes, yes. So in preparation, I did set up like a little website that was meant to be like an interactive
Oh,
booth in case I couldn't talk to people, which happened more often. But then I also underestimated people's attention spans. So
yeah.
no one's sitting there reading the thing, but there's some visuals and stuff like that. So you could, I don't know, I'll provide
Yeah.
you that link if you
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
share that
That'd be
as well.
cool.
Um,
I did not do anything remotely that interesting. I don't think.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I think your
Yeah.
day to day is probably as interesting, if not
Oh, my day to
more
day.
interesting.
I should just do put a cam up in here and just like watch Andrew do
Live stream
his
it.
live.
Yeah, just live
Yeah.
stream it. Yeah, just live
Be about
streaming
me
your day to
yelling
day.
at AI saying
Sitting there
inappropriate
running
things. Yeah.
running 50 agents at once.
I think I'm now generally up to about 12,
Okay, nice,
12
nice.
things
I
going
try not to
on.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I try not to go beyond maybe 5 or 8 because then I'm spread too across too many things at once. Um,
Well, okay. That's actually interesting. So I have multiple features of 3 different products I'm working on kind of in parallel.
yeah, I think that's the advantage you have is you
Yeah.
have 3 different projects, so you can sort of just spin
Yeah.
up agents on those projects and they're self-contained, or
Well,
they're bucketed, they're verticalized, they're bucketed.
yeah. But yeah, so kind of tying into the open sauce thing. So the open sauce thing is all about getting people across like engineering, science, art kind of together to do stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
One of the products that I've been working on um years, probably like I've worked on this problem set for a long time, but
Oh,
uh
okay, okay. You
yeah.
said years in it. I was like, I know what you're talking about here,
Oh
but I don't
no,
know. Was it years?
the product has
Conceptually, it's been
only
years.
been yeah, the product
Yeah,
has only been
yeah
spinning for a
we've
little
talked
bit.
about the philosophical ideas behind this and
Yeah.
concepts behind it for yeah as long as we know each other. So yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
So
Sorry, continue.
yeah, no, it's all good. I don't like to plug stuff I do, which is weird because like the whole thing is about maybe I should more because like I did the
Hey man,
live stream and people were all
you
into
gotta
it.
learn the sales and marketing stuff.
Oh no, I can sell the shit out of it. That's not the problem. I just don't want the podcast to be like Andrew shills his own stuff kind of thing.
Got it.
But
Yeah.
a
Okay.
lot of what I work on though is applicable to what we talk about. So I'm like, I
Mm,
don't know. I live the life. This isn't an act. Yeah,
right.
so I built a product for non-technical folks to be able to leverage AI to build solutions to their problems in a
Mm.
nutshell. I haven't thought about a sales pitch. I should probably go read what I wrote on the website. Um, but the core problem is the AI tools are fine. People have opinions. I don't care. They work for the most part. And the 2 caveats I gave were fine and for the most part, and that's where most people get tripped
Mm,
up, right? Technical people
mm,
either power through it or have the knowledge to get around the shortcomings for the most part, or just ignore it. That's a whole thing. Non-technical people know enough typically to get themselves into a painted corner and not realize that they're in a corner or that they painted themselves in a corner and that the room actually doesn't have doors now.
yeah, yeah.
Right. So you can vibe
Been
code
there.
anything, right?
Yeah,
But you don't know what you don't know, and if you're not an expert in building software or know what the blind spots of AI are, or know even what to ask AI to help you with, it you're not going to get very far. And the
right.
current approach to this has been use Cloud Code or Codex or anti-gravity or Cursor. There's a million tools out there. The problem I'm finding with all these tools is that they're really developer driven or they're techie driven. And I think that it's now time for us to make it easy for people to do stuff. And so
Yeah,
I built Couldi. It's Couldi, COULDI.xyz, uh, with the non-tech folks in mind, um, but kind of two distinct audiences. And it's kind of interesting why I think I got to this. One is for solopreneur folks. So I know quite a few people who have like vibe coded a solution and then like can't get it out to the world.
yeah.
What do I do with it? Right.
Deployment process. Right, right.
Maybe it
Yeah,
runs on
yeah,
my computer. Maybe I think it runs on my computer. I don't know what to do next.
yeah,
Or they get it out to the world and they have no idea what kind of a ticking time bomb they've just released to,
yeah.
to humanity. And I would argue that people probably don't need to know all that. Maybe they should, maybe they shouldn't, but there isn't really a lot of great tooling for that problem. And
Mm,
the way most organizations are or people are doing it is they either go to something. I don't think I'm going to mention specific
mm. They
companies.
go to
They
certain
go to
tools that are
other
out there and
companies
available.
that
Yeah, that you
provide
can vibe
tools.
code. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That will automatically put something up on the web
right.
for you.
But
Yeah.
they
Uh-huh.
lock you into their paradigm, or they hyper specialize and focus in
One
specific tool
particular
sets or
technology. Yeah, yeah.
verticals.
Right.
And with AI,
Yeah,
you don't
yeah,
need to do that. Um,
yeah,
and so, but there's a lot of like reasons why they do that. I understand why they're doing that. So I built a tool that doesn't do that. And
yeah.
so the tool, I don't even, that's really not the tool, it's a product. The product helps you get through the build process, but also helps to expose in user-friendly ways. So a user, again, is like a non-technical person. Technical people can use this too. Like, yeah,
If you want to. Yeah, yeah.
if you want to, yeah,
I used
it's,
it. Yeah,
yeah, I know, right? You're not, it's like tech people are not the audience, but it's totally works. It's just kind of what do you want to spend your time on doing? Or how do you want to go about doing it, like every other tool? But it helps you with non-technical language, and it understands like what you're trying to accomplish in ways that a lot of these like foundation model tools or things don't, or don't do well. More importantly, it's also helping you get through the tech process of deploying software in a responsible way, in a secure way, um, and uh, also helping find those deficits that you might have, like as specifically as like a solopreneur. How do you write the marketing copy? How do you have a privacy policy? What privacy policies do you need? What laws do you need to address? And so there's all these things that if you want to start a business, you want to try an idea, it's a lot of fucking knowledge. It's a lot of work, right? And you can figure this
Mm,
out on your own if you want, right? I mean, it's not. I mean, I don't know that it's hard, but it's a lot. And most people want to just focus on their idea and try it. And maybe you have a little bit of traction and you're trying to grow. That's a little bit of a different. But maybe you have an idea and you want to, So up until now, we've had kind of like the landing page companies or like a
yep,
shopping portal kind of company, but like building actual
yeah.
software that you could sell like a SaaS product is not really there. There's a couple companies that are kind of doing it, but it's still more techy or it's really narrowed down. The other audience for this is still non-technical folks or less technical folks, but also in the growing enterprise. So it's like you have a company of a few people, or maybe you have a company that isn't a tech company. You have technology in every company at this point, but like you're not a software company. You make tractor parts or something, right? Like, but you want to use AI, and you have
Mm,
some IT staff or you have some engineering support, but they're not. Their primary focus is to not drive the enterprise forward. It's not to drive the tech forward, and so you're losing this huge opportunity because you give everybody AI and they spend a lot of money and you don't really know what happened. You gave everybody AI and they all invented the same thing. right?
Yeah.
You have 10 tools now to do the one thing that everybody thinks they need to do. And so the problem set, the thing I like about how I've kind of designed this and how it's developed is that it'll grow with you from like one to many, or you can jump in at many and get really valuable because I think the paradigm that people will become is we're actually now to the point where you can build your own software solutions for the problems you have. The problem with most people who are non-technical is they don't want to build the software. They just want to solve the
Yeah.
problem. And so we've abstracted a lot of that away. Like you still have to know what you want to do. You still have to know what you want to accomplish. We can kind of help you through that. But a lot of all this other stuff, these dependencies that you just kind of need to know but don't want to deal with, you don't have to deal with anymore. And so from a small business or like a growing startup kind of idea, the example I use all the time with folks is like, you need customer support now. You have customers, right? Your shared
Mm.
email box or your help desk system doesn't really work, or you don't have access to, you have the data, but you don't have a customer service tool to actually get information to people. Engineers have no problem, right? Run a query. Maybe you can
Most
learn
engineers do.
SQL. I know, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Trying to be
Yeah.
graceful. Um,
Yeah.
but there's associated all sorts of problems with that. So like something like could I can be deployed in your environment, get you your solution in a safe way that you can trust. I think that's another huge thing. It's not going to invent something in a tech stack that your company has no, knowledge in. You can
Mm.
restrict, that kind of stuff, or it'll figure out what you're using in your environment to be compatible. Because like the worst thing with vibe coding is like you get the solution, but it doesn't fit in what your infrastructure
Right.
is, right?
Right,
Or
right.
it
Yeah.
it it won't scale with the data that you have. And so those are all problems that we've solved. Um,
Right.
Controlling spend and understanding like everybody's building the CMS tool, right? The content management
Yeah. Yeah.
for
Content
oh,
management system. Yeah. Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
now you have a way to know that, right?
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
can either let everybody do their own personal CMS if that's what you want to run. Cool. Like there's no rule book here. Or you can consolidate efforts. And I think the cool thing that I like is like project discoverability, where if you want to try to build something that already exists, it'll tell you like, hey, this is, have you considered these
Ah,
things, or
okay. Got it. Got it. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
have you
Right. Don't
tried
need to reinvent the
using
wheel kind of thing, right?
Salesforce, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
have
Yeah. Right.
Salesforce.
Right. Yeah.
And then also helping you through that problem. So like maybe the tools that you already have doesn't do what you need. You either need to like pigeon something in to an existing tool, which you can do, or
Mhm.
maybe you just need to build a little like simple dashboard screen thing to get some information and take an action. And that saves
Right.
you, an hour per customer call because you have to have 10 different sources in one spot to look at things, right? It's an easy thing that every company's done with. I can hear people saying, well, AI is going to do all our customer service for you. Okay, you lost. Good luck.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
But it's everybody that I've talked to who's non-technical, their companies are having this problem. If we spend a bunch of money or we don't really know where the spend is, or how do we contain this environment? And so a lot of companies are falling back to that kind of control model of gating the use of the tool, or gating what people can do, because you don't want somebody just like testing something and throwing it
Installing
into
whatever. Right.
production
Right. Yeah.
necessarily. Probably most companies probably don't want that. Some companies probably don't care. So you need to be able to have some lever of guardrails so that you're not bringing down the entire production system or whatever. But you also need to accommodate people who need to get their job done, and you need to cut out all these freaking meetings that everybody hates going to and spending all this time in. And why not just give the people who are closest to the problem the ability to enact solutions to expand and grow and exponential. It's
Mhm.
like that mindset is also very different for a lot of so-called leaders, because they exist to control things. I put out a LinkedIn post about this earlier. It has nothing to do with
Yeah.
with could I, but it's we were talking a little bit earlier, and the biggest problem that I have with users right now is that they have to like unlearn all the bad habits we've developed, because we've gone from like technology makes no sense to most people, so we need like IT to come in, and they're kind of like understand the technology enough and people enough to kind of bridge the gap. And then it became, well, now you're accountable for making sure the data is secure, whatever. So then there's a big control thing. And then you get like the self-built technology where you have engineering people who actually like know how to build the stuff and not just like configure and run it. But now they don't want, they gate the knowledge back because they don't want to work with people, or they don't want to do the things they don't want to do, right? So you have to get
Yeah.
out of that mindset, and like that's the majority of the conversations I have is like the current way of working that people are used to and kind of trained for is non-existent. They just don't realize it yet. And
Mm,
when a lot of people have experimented with that, they get catastrophe. And so Kodai
mm,
is a tool to kind of help bridge that, to have some organizational visibility and guardrails that make sense, but also giving people effectively the blank canvas without giving them the blank canvas, because most people don't want to start from scratch, and you shouldn't have to start from scratch, right? So
right, right.
it's bridging all these problems together. And I'm trying to think. I think the other big piece, the third big
Well, I mean,
pillar. Yeah, I'll stop my sales
no,
pitch.
I was going to ask, like, are you looking for people to use, like, I don't know if you mentioned, like,
Yeah,
I know that
you're in
people
it.
can use
Yeah,
this, but are you opening this up for people to use this? Because I'm sure a lot of
yeah,
people who are listening would have, you've
yeah.
probably seen this problem or encountered some variation of it.
100%. Yeah. So we're in a private preview, I guess I would call it.
Mm,
So there's you can sign up on the website to get in. And it's really just like we're trying to limit the growth in a sane
okay.
way to scale.
Mhm.
Anybody who's scaled stuff knows problems. Um, but the third piece of this that I think is probably the most important is that we're in a new working paradigm. We should probably talk about that at some point and break it down. We are, trust me, like you see the symptoms of it. You don't quite, a lot of people haven't
Mm,
really intellectualized that we're there, but we are. I live this every day. I don't know what else
mm,
to say. Like it definitely is real. But the thing that people aren't really thinking about, I've seen a couple conversations about it, but this idea of the the doing and the almost the execution is now done. So like the AI will execute stuff for you a lot of times. Like you still don't want to outsource your judgment, but like it's getting better and better all the time. And as
mm,
you kind of build systems and start to understand how to interact with the AI and like using tools like Kodai, um, you start to build these layers, and then you get more leverage. But the true the corpus of like what makes your business special or unique is not now what you can build, and it's not really
right.
what you
Yeah,
can
we've mentioned this
execute on.
before. Yeah, yeah.
It's your process, it's your creativity, it's your problem solving, it's the problems you've solved, it's how you've chosen to navigate those problems. And so a lot of these AI tools, you're just giving all that to Anthropic, you're giving all that to OpenAI, you're giving all that to Google. So you might not want to give away your like special sauce, but you
Right.
also probably don't know what your special sauce is. Like every organization I've ever worked with, very few people have an idea of like how the thing actually works. Like they know their little
Mhm,
piece, or they know their like, little horizontal piece. AI, it's context is king. And I
mhm.
know some people are probably saying, well, the AI can't possibly know all the context. Well, there's ways around that, and it's getting better every time. But the thing that Kodai is really solving for, and part of why we're slow rolling the pilot, is that people are calling it like a company brain, or like it's how do you get the institutional knowledge that your
Yep.
company has and make it valuable and useful without also exposing it necessarily to a model provider, or um, having it leave your control. And
Yeah.
I'll kind of tease that there because I think it's a difficult thing for a lot of folks to grok because they don't think about it, and they don't even realize that like me and a couple folks can probably build any technology platform in a weekend and be relatively competitive. Like having a thing that you build and sell is not a moat anymore. We've talked about this a little bit. You still have to have brand reputation. You still have to have marketing. You still have to have trust. You still have to like operationalize the business. And that's still kind of hard. But that moat that was like just building the thing used to take months and months and months and cost tons of
Right.
money.
Yep.
Not anymore, really. Is it 100%? Like, could I build Slack overnight? No, but could I build something that's functional enough, that can scale quick enough, that could take it out? Sure. That's
Mhm.
what I don't care, but sure, right? Especially if you have a small group of people. And people
Right,
just
right.
don't realize that yet because they try to put these they try to do AI. I've seen this personally, and I've hear this still like almost daily from folks. Uh,
Mm,
my CEO says I need to use AI, and so they give you like Claude Code, and now you're in a terminal. Most people don't know what a terminal is. They don't want to know what a terminal is.
mm,
They don't know how to interact with it. And they don't know what a slash command is, and they don't know what they don't know, and they don't know what a repo is, and why is it asking me all these questions, or why does it tell me my idea is the greatest idea in the world? You've already lost most people. And for folks who are old enough to maybe remember, this is how email used to be, right? Email was awful until Outlook
mm,
came along and kind of gave you a nice little window, or actually it was really AOL, but like in the business world, it was like Outlook. And it sucked, but you're like, okay, it kind of makes sense. The user interface, I get it. It's kind of like a memo. I'm still doing memos. The electronic thing's a little faster. It's a little easier for me to use. But you had to have some IT nerd come and like set it up.
mhm.
And then, and you had to have an email server at your company. And then, Outlook.com, Hotmail, Gmail came along. And then when Gmail came along, they cracked it, right? They're like, anyone in the world signs up for free, or you have a business, you pay a few bucks. We do all that techie crop stuff for you, and we just let you use the product. And it was like this magical moment. Now everybody just takes it for granted that it's really easy. We used to have to like, you know, run commands and stuff. We should like do a show where like I email you on the terminal and show people how
Oh.
fucking crazy it is, right? Because it all comes from mainframes. And it used
Mhm.
to be like you and I were logged into the same mainframe,
Same, yeah,
and we're in
yeah.
different parts of the world, or different,
It's like
or
an
different.
inbox, it was basically
Yeah.
back in the day.
So how do I
That's where
like
the term inbox came from. Yeah, email
exactly,
inboxes,
right?
it came from
And
there,
so
yeah,
how do
yeah.
I like talk to Nathan? Because my
Mhm,
phone line's tied up because that's how I'm getting into the mainframe. Oh, Nathan's not online or not on the mainframe because there's only me. I'm the only one who can dial in because we have one line. How do I leave a message for him so that he can
mm,
check on something, right? And then that evolved into, well, now Nathan's on another mainframe and I need to send him some information, this file I
yeah,
built or whatever, right? And then it
right,
evolved from there. So anyway, I'm kind of like conflating the pitch with just kind of the problem set, because I think the problem set's more interesting, and like, could I as a solution to that? And I think,
mhm,
I don't know, for me in the podcast, again, it's like I don't want to necessarily rep my book, but it's like the problem set is going to be the next massive challenge. And giving somebody a terminal and like a chatbot AI is not a solution
it's not
for
gonna right,
99% of the population. And it shouldn't have to be. You shouldn't have to learn how to use the technology to make it. If you expect people to learn your technology, you've done it wrong as a product
yeah,
person.
yeah, right. Yeah, yeah. I mean, we could probably dive deeper into. To be honest, I think a lot of the conversations when we do talk about AI has some elements of the problem set that we it just keeps coming back because
Yeah.
we're again just it's a persistent problem. And I mean, in all honesty, I do think there's something that at least for me, I'm miss. There's something I don't think is going to be a. It's not a step change kind of thing, right? It's sort of something where it slowly kind of
Yeah.
becomes whether something clicks or not. It doesn't automatically just roll out. There's sort of the adoption curve or the
No, well, and it's two parts, I think. So it is an adoption, it's a new technology. So there's just that.
yeah,
There it's a different kind of technology. So like almost every technology that's come before AI, like you had a bunch of people trying to make it work. Like the email protocol existed, right? So it's like you are
yeah,
confined by what you can do with it. And you're like, I want to send a file. Well, that doesn't work. How do we figure out how to build a file? I'm not interested in that. I'm just going to send text. Well, I'm really interested in how do we make it, how do we get an attachment? But with AI, it's like the landscape is almost endless in that like there really isn't a user experience. Like the chat bot and prompting and everybody gets all fucking nerdy about this stuff. And it isn't. But it it is the people who are successful with AI are the curious people and the people who know how to ask questions and know what they don't know and push for that, which is a
Mhm.
skill set you can learn and develop, and most people don't have that. And even in a business environment, most people don't have the time necessarily.
Yeah.
And in order to be effective at AI, you shouldn't also have to know all this. Like you should have to know what you don't know and know how to push. But like if we've both worked in like healthcare and hip, like do you
Yeah.
really need to be a HIPAA expert to build software?
Mhm.
It kind of depends what you're trying to do. I would argue no, in that AI should be able to get you 90% of the way there and then have a handoff moment with people who know the rest. But you've now taken the adoption curve from we have to have a bunch of meetings, try to figure this out, understand everything you're doing, months and months and months, to I spent a few hours on could I
Mhm.
built this thing that I can now hand over to the engineering team to say, hey, I need to hook this up to patient data. Uh, what's next? And then it's probably a few minutes of like, oh, I need to understand, what you're kind of thinking, where you're coming from. And now we've just condensed months of stuff into a few hours. And now we hopefully execute on that. If you're in an environment, well, and I'll say just transparently, Kudai is not HIPAA compliant today. It is on the radar. It's a whole thing.
Mm.
It's mostly human problems, frankly. It's not technical. It's just, but the problem though then becomes is, well, it's too hard, or it's the learned behavior of putting up barriers, because yes, it probably is too hard. You'd have to certify it with whatever protocol vendor, whatever. Now AI can do most of that, right? And so instead of taking 6 months of engineering time to certify an application, you can have AI probably do it in hours and tweak it. But that's a
Mm.
total mindset work shift from, I don't wanna do the work, or I don't have the time and capacity to do the work, or I don't understand the work, to like, actually, you don't really probably need to. You just need to know how to work with the tools to get the output to what you need to verify. It's an outcome driven kind of total different mindset. And so
Yeah,
that's on
yeah.
top
Yeah.
of the tools hard to use,
Right,
right?
right.
That's why
Yeah.
forward deployed engineers are like the new fucking buzzword in the valley, right? Is it's getting a engineer who knows how to talk to people and knows how to do engineering stuff in your business to help you through that. We used to call it consulting,
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah.
post sales engineering, or pre sales engineering, where you come in and do an analysis of what the person actually wants. I frankly think like it's that is needed, but I think we're missing the paradigm shift by deploying in that way, because again, it's familiar to the people who are trying to keep the old way of doing things
Sure. Yeah, yeah. Preserve
contemporary.
the
And
norm. Right,
it's
right.
like we can get past this, and it freaks
Yeah.
people out. And it's like, okay, well, then
Yeah,
you're
I
going to get
mean,
left
change
behind. I don't
change
know
is
what to
hard.
tell
Yeah,
you.
change
Yeah.
change is hard. People don't like the change, right? Um, all right. Anything you want to close us out with?
No.
All right. Change is hard,
Yep.
but it's
Change is hard.
coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's coming.
I like it. See you next
All
week.
right. Cool. See ya.